with episode, with was I about to say episode 23? I mean episode 40. We the big 4-0. Here we are, guys, with episode 40. Here we are, guys, with episode 40 of Come Shoot Your Boy. Episode 40 of Come Shoot Your Boy. There we go. There we are. We here with episode 40 of Come Shoot Your Boy, and we going for the hour mark, baby. Here we are. Guys, okay, before we get into it, before we get into this, guys, I gotta reiterate this every stream. So, at any point in the stream, guys, if y'all hear me stuttering or tripping over my words, I've got a speech impediment. That's why I stutter, that's why I do this. So, yeah. That's why I stutter, and that's why I trip over my words so much. So, what are we going to talk about, baby? What are we going to talk about? Now, I remember the last episode, towards the end there, I did say, I talk about some old traditional fairy tales, some old stories, some old legends. But first, let me get all the promotional stuff out of the way, guys. So, y'all get the boxing stream next month, which that's still coming. Still working on the White Knight, Ogre's 8. The Dragon King, the broader world of Evaloria, and I'm still working on the Samurai and Gunslinger. So I'm still working on all that. And like I said, y'all get the boxing stream next month. Y'all get these every night. From 10 to 11, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Anyways, let's get into it, baby. So what do you want to talk about, baby? Because we got an hour to kill. So what do y'all want to talk about? Personally, me, I know exactly what we're going to talk about in this episode. Because I hinted at it last episode, or towards the end of last episode, guys. Like I said, I've got no script. It's just me talking in front of the camera to no one in particular and all that. So, yeah, guys. Last episode, or towards the end of last episode, I told y'all that, last episode, I told y'all we talked about the Grimm brothers and the classic fairy tales and all that. So, y'all wanna know more about the classic Disney films that we all love, like Sleeping Beauty. God, I hate my speech impediment. Like Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, etc. All those stories, guys, that we all love so much. Are actually very, very messed up and very, very horrifying if you actually read the original fairy tales, of which I have. I've read a lot of the Grimm brothers fairy tales, guys. In fact, I have 2 collections in the closet, although my room's a mess right now, so I'm not going to get into my closet and get that book out, or get those books out. Because Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, aka the Grimm brothers, they collected fairy tales in Germany in the 1800s. They collected their fairy tales for a long time. Oh yes, my friend. Yes. Sleeping Beauty is a disturbing tale. Now, guys, here's something you gotta keep in mind. Guys. These stories have been told from generation to generation. Some of these stories, guys, are over 1,000 years old. Some of these stories, guys, span thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. And that's the beauty of all this. because before everything he was written down, everything was word of mouth. Basically telling these, okay, imagine I tell you a story and you tell that person the same story, and so on and so on. So that's how you do it, guys. That's how you do it. That's how you tell these stories. Okay. Okay, so yeah, guys. That's I'm sorry about that brief interruption, guys. But that's how we do it, guys. Oh no, that's God, what am I thinking? I'm so scrambled right now. But yeah, these stories were, or these fairy tales, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, they they collected these fairy tales. They did not create these fairy tales. Yep, yep, I've heard. I've heard about Mickey Mouse and the old creepy stories behind that as well. But guys, like I said, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, they did not create these fairy tales, guys. These stories we all love so much. The stories, the Disney classics in particular, that we all love so much, are collected over generations upon generations. And if y'all don't want to hear me talk about them, if y'all don't want to deal with my stuttering, I will recommend y'all a channel right now. I will recommend a channel here for y'all to go watch instead of mine, in case you don't want to deal with my stuttering and all that. Just look up messed up origins on YouTube. Just look up messed up origins or John Solo on YouTube if you want the idea of these stories and how they actually were. Now that's JONSOLO. So there you go. Just go look up John Solo or type in messed up origins on YouTube and it should pop right up. Anyways, guys, back to the fairy tales. And precisely the Grimm brothers and the brothers Grimm, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm. So, these guys collected. Yes. Yes. So, these guys collected these fairy tales in the 1800s, right? And guys, here's what's fascinating to me about all this, guys. These stories span generations upon generations. Like I said, these stories are over 1,000 years old, guys. And these stories were called old wives' tales. Old wives' tales. Because mothers who would tell their children these stories at night as bedtime stories, I think. Yes, as bedtime stories. Hey, to basically scare their kids into behaving themselves. They would scare their children into being good. That's a bit harsh in my opinion. That is a bit harsh in my opinion, but it's so funny and so doable. Now, there's been a lot. There's been a lot of messed up myths and messed up stories. Like, one of my favorite stories ever, guys. One of my favorite fairy tales ever is the story of Rapunzel. And that story, whoo, dog is it messed up. It's so messed up. Because, guys, here's the thing. Hey, the Grimm brothers published a collection of fairy tales in the 1800s. But the Grimm brothers are lightweight compared to what came before. So there are four guys, or there's four people I know of that did the fairy tales the best. Number one is the Grimm brothers, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm. Number two is Hans Christian Andersen. Now, okay, So let me put it to you this way, guys. Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm cover a lot of the Disney films we all love. Hans Christian Andersen does the exact same thing. Like, if y'all want to know the origins of the Little Mermaid, that is the author who created his Little Mermaid. Hans Christian Andersen wrote the original Little Mermaid, and it's so messed up. It's so brutal. It's so dark and disturbing, but it's so fascinating too. That's the thing. Also, guys, Hans Christian Andersen also wrote the original story to Frozen, and he wrote possibly the saddest, well, it's not the saddest Christmas story I've ever heard, because that belongs to Charles Dickens, with the Christmas Carol. Now, Christmas Carol is a phenomenal book. It's a phenomenal book. It's written by Charles Dickens. It's phenomenal. It is the most horrifying Christmas story I've ever read. But Hans Christian Andersen's Hit the Little Match Girl comes in at a close second. Hit the Little Match Girl is a horrifying story. Basically, it takes place on New Year's Eve, and it's about this little girl in the dead of the dead of winter, but winter, and she's trying to sell matches, and the little girl is trying to sell matches, and she can't. Every time she tries, people ignore her, and she ends up lighting these matches and seeing certain visions and all that. She sees certain visions, and she sees a feast, a Christmas tree, and finally, well, she sees a feast, a Christmas tree, and presents, and finally, she sees her grandmother. And then how does it end? I'm not sure if I'll care about spoilers, but I'm gonna go ahead anyway. I'm not sure if y'all care about spoilers, but I'm gonna go ahead anyway. She dies. She freezes to death. Now, there is a quote-unquote happy ending here with her grandmother coming down from heaven in the form of this beautiful angel and taking her granddaughter up to heaven. But that's not really a happy ending now, is it? A little girl freezing to death. Now, guys, like I said, I'm gonna cover these fairy tales in this stream. Yes, I'll cover more of the fairy tales. But if y'all want a better channel, if y'all want someone that actually knows what they're talking about, I'm not saying I don't. I'm not saying I don't know what I'm talking about. I do. I know what I'm talking about. It's just that the speech impediment gets in my way. It's that with the stuttering, I don't think y'all will hear me all that well. Y'all won't hear me all that clearly. So, if y'all want a better channel, for these messed up fairy tales, just look up Messed Up Origins on YouTube. Just look up John Solo and it should pop right up. If y'all want to click off, if y'all want to leave and go watch that instead, please do. I highly recommend that channel because it's a lot better and he covers it in more detail than I ever could. But I'm gonna give it my best shot. At least here for this episode, and we're going for the hour mark, guys. We always hit that hour mark. Anyways, let's get back to the fairy tales. So, we have the Grimm brothers with Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm in the 1800s. And then, okay, here we have Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm in the 1800s with a bunch of spooky, scary fairy tales. Also, guys, let me just list off some of my favorite Grimm brother fairy tales right quick. Number 1, Rapunzel. the Frog King and Iron Henry, aka the Princess and the Frog. Number 3, Snow White. Number 4, Briar Rose or Sleeping Beauty. Or not Sleeping Beauty, Briar Rose or Cinderella. Briar Rose or Cinderella. There you go. Now, those are some fairy tales by the Brothers Grimm. Now, Hans Christian Andersen also did a collection of fairy tales himself. And even though, okay, I haven't read a lot of Hans books, or I haven't read a lot of Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales. I've read more Grimm Brothers than I've read of Hans Christian Andersen. However, there's 4 guys I know of. There's 4 people I know that did the fairy tales the best. The Grimm Brothers, Hans Christian Andersen, Charles Perrault, and Jean-Baptiste Hippolyte. Now, I believe the Grimm Brothers, yes, the Grimm Brothers published theirs in the 1800s, as did Hans Christian Andersen. Both of those gentlemen are from the 1800s, I believe. Now, let's get into Charles Perrault and Jean-Baptiste Hippolyte. Now, Charles Perrault did a lot of fairy tales and classic stories as well. Also, guys, side note, all the classic stories that we all love, they also did. Like Hansel and Gretel and all that. The Grimm Brothers did that as well. Now, here's the thing. Like I said, Charles Perrault was in the 1700s, I believe. And he did Puss in Boots, he did Puss in Boots, Little Red Riding Hood, and much, much more. Now, the original Little Red Riding Hood, that is a messed up story. I still can't believe it to this day. Like, okay, the original the original Little Red Riding Hood is scary. So it starts off with Little Red Riding Hood going to Grandma's house. We all know that. But hey, depending on the author or who's telling it, she brings Grandma different things. Now, let's just skip to the ending, shall we? So we all know the story of Little Red Riding Hood. She is supposed to he delivers something to Grandma's house, and she gets lost on the way, and the big bad wolf comes in and he distracts her, asks her where she's going, and she tells him, and he goes, and he disguises himself as the grandma, and then when Little Red Riding Hood finally gets there, Grandma is already dead and already eaten, and we get the entire spill. So, Little Red Riding Hood gets to Grandma's house, with the wine and cake, I believe. I believe that's what Little Red is bringing Grandma in the original version. I will check after the stream is over. After the stream is over, I will check and tell y'all at the start of tomorrow's stream. So, I believe it's wine and cake, if I'm not mistaken. So, she brings the wine and cake, and she greets her grandmother and all that. No. No. Hansel and Gretel did not get eaten. I believe, yes, Hansel and Gretel escaped their fate, and and they actually ate the witch, I believe. I believe they ate the witch. I could be wrong about that, guys. I could be wrong about that. Like I said, I know I've recommended this channel twice. But please, please, do yourself a favor and stop watching me and go watch John Solo. Go look up Messed Up Origins on YouTube. And it'll be a whole lot smoother. John does this better than I ever could. Anyways, let's get back to the fairy tales, to the stories. So, Little Red Riding Hood. Here we get the entire spill. She goes to Grandma's house, and here we get the entire spill. Oh, wait, I'm missing something. I'm missing something vitally important. I'm missing something vitally important here. Before we get that entire spill, hey, the big bad wolf as grandma, he's disguised as a grandmother. As the grandma, hey, the wolf suggests to Little Red Riding Hood that she undress herself and get in bed with him. That is disturbing. That's very, very disturbing. So the big bad wolf as grandma suggests the little Red Riding Hood. Oh my god, I hate you. You see, guys, you see why I recommended Messed Up Origins? Do you see why I recommended John Solo, guys? Because my dumbass has the speech impediment. He doesn't. Go watch him. He's better at this because I can tell you all the details. Well, I'm not as good as he is, but he can tell you all a lot more clearly because I'm getting frustrated because of the speech impediment. I want to talk about this stuff, but I can't because of the speech impediment. It's annoying. Anyways, guys, like I was saying, the big bad wolf as grandma tells or suggests Little Red Riding Hood get naked and undress and get in bed with the big bad wolf. She does, and she does as he suggested. She does as he suggested. She gets in bed with him and all that. And then we get that entire spill, and then we get the classic, "Oh, grandma, what big eyes you have. To see you better, my dear. Oh, grandma, what big ears you have. To hear you better, my dear. Oh, grandma, what big teeth you have. The better to eat you with." And then the wolf eats her. And then the wolf eats her. The end. That's how it ends. That's how the original Little Red Riding Hood ends. He with the big bad wolf eating grandma, and little red. He with the big bad wolf eating grandma, and Little Red Riding Hood. That's a messed up story, and I'm not kidding. That's how the original goes. Like, that's how the original goes, guys. And if you don't believe me, then just go watch Messed Up Origins. Please, please. In fact, that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do once we hit that hour mark. Once we hit that hour mark, I'm gonna double check myself. Because I could be wrong about all this, guys. Although I'm pretty sure I'm not. I'm pretty sure I'm not. Like, I'm 80% sure I'm not. However, I'm gonna double check after the stream is over. I'm gonna go watch the videos again, guys. Because I wanna be right about this stuff. I don't wanna tell y'all untruths or anti-truths. Basically, I don't wanna be lying on camera. So I'm gonna double check after the stream is over. Anyways, I believe that's how the original Little Red Riding Hood ends. Now, so I've covered a bit of Hans Christian Andersen, I covered a bit of the Grimm brothers, I covered a bit of Hans Christian Andersen, I covered a bit of Charles Perrault, even though I really didn't cover all that much of Charles, because I haven't read that much of his stories. Like I've read and heard more of the Grimm brothers and Hans Christian Andersen's tales, so I'm not sure about the Charles A. Perrault stuff, even though I'm pretty sure I'm right. I need to actually read more of Charles A. Perrault's fairy tales. So I covered 3 out of the 4 I mentioned. I covered the Grimm brothers, Hans Christian Andersen, and Charles Perrault. Then we get to the final one. Then we get to Jean-Baptiste Hippolyte, of which Jean-Baptiste Hippolyte is from the 1600s, even older than the other 3. Jean-Baptiste Hippolyte, a French author, had his own fairy tale collection, and the only fairy tale I remember reading from him was Sleeping Beauty. So I'm gonna just say that off the rep. The only fairy tale I've read of Jean-Baptiste Hippolyte is Sleeping Beauty. Now, the original Sleeping Beauty, if y'all thought the other ones I mentioned, they was bad, whoo, doggy, you're in for a treat. You're in for a treat. Because the original Sleeping Beauty, written by Jean-Baptiste Hippolyte, is so messed up, it's not even called Sleeping Beauty. It's called Sun, Moon, and Talia. Sun, Moon, and Talia. Of which Sun, Moon, and Talia is a very, very, very messed up story. I almost don't want to cover it because it's that messed up. Like, I almost don't want to cover it because it's that messed up, and I'm not sure if YouTube would actually allow it. In fact, guys, for my own safety, I don't think I will. I'm sorry. But the original Sleeping Beauty is just take my word for it, guys. Just take my word for it. The original Sleeping Beauty, Sun, Moon, and Talia, is, oh my god, it is. I can't, guys. I can't. Hold my hands up. I can't, guys. I can't. So, what I'm gonna do instead is go back to the Brothers Grimm. I know, I'm a failure. I'm sorry, alright? I'm sorry. I can't cover it, guys. If y'all want to actually look up the story and see for yourselves exactly what I'm talking about, then go right ahead. But do it at your own risk. Because Sun, Moon, and Talia is very, very twisted. Oh yes, a Pinocchio, written by Carlos Ignoli. Pinocchio is also messed up. Like, Pinocchio, oh my god, dude, Pinocchio is... No, 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 no. Sun, no, 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 no. Sun, Moon, and Talia is more messed up in Pinocchio, although Pinocchio is a fairly messed up story as well. Hey, but guys, I'm telling you guys, I love it. I love it. I love these dark stories. I love these dark fairy tales. Now, I do believe the very first fairy tale ever written. I do believe the very first fairy tale ever written, and like I said, I could be wrong about this. In fact, I probably am. Because, guys, I've done my research. I know what I'm talking about, but there's always a part of me that second guesses myself. So I believe the very first fairy tale ever written was The Smith and the Devil. And that's, even though I haven't read it, I hear it's a fairly messed up story. Yes, Sun, Moon, and Talia is a very, very messed up story. It is the original Sleeping Beauty, and it is a phenomenal story, although it's messed up. Guys, a lot of the Disney classics that we all love actually have darker origins behind them. In fact, I'll tell y'all right now, the original, or no, not the, why do I keep saying the original Sleeping Beauty when I mean something else? My brain is thinking of another fairy tale, but Sleeping Beauty, why do I have that on the brain right now? I don't know. Maybe because Sun, Moon, and Talia, aka the original Sleeping Beauty, is so messed up. It's so disturbing. What I meant to say was the original Cinderella. The original Cinderella is very messed up, and it's by the Brothers Grimm. It's by the Grimm brothers. Like, it's very, very interesting, guys. Cinderella, as you know, has the evil stepmom and the evil stepsisters. So she can go to the ball. So Cinderella basically she has to stay home while her stepmom and sisters go to the ball. And her fairy godmother helps her along, and she's able to go to the ball, and she wears, as we know, glass slippers. Only in the original, they weren't glass. I believe, and I always gotta say this, guys. I always gotta say this because I'm always second guessing myself, guys. Like I said, just go watch Messed Up Origins. Just go look up Sean Solo if you want to know the actual details. But I believe, guys, I believe in the original Cinderella. I believe in the original Cinderella. I hate my speech impediment. I believe in the original Cinderella. I believe in the original Cinderella. There we go, finally. I believe in the original story. His slippers were not glass. I believe they were either, yeah, I think they were some type of brownish leather, if I'm not mistaken, or cloth, maybe, I don't know. Either way. So we all know the story, right? Whoever's foot fits in the slippers, the prince will marry. Now, here's where things get twisted. Here's where things get dark. Because in the original text, in the original story of Cinderella, the stepmom and stepsisters do horrible things to her, first of all. But secondly, it's what they do to themselves. It's what the stepsisters do to themselves to fit the slippers. The stepsisters do not fit. Their feet do not fit into the slippers. And guys, do y'all want to know what they do to make their feet fit into these slippers? One sister cuts off her big toe. The other cuts off a slice of her heel. Yeah, that's messed up. That's very, very messed up. So, long story short, oh, okay, and the stepmom gets the worst punishment of all. I'll get to that in a bit. But okay, so that's fairly messed up. Cutting off your big toe and cutting off a chunk of your heel to fit into the slipper. Like, that is messed up. So it obviously doesn't fit, and the prince, obviously, he ends up finding the woman that does fit the shoes, and that woman is, you guessed it, it's Cinderella. It's Cinderella that fits the slippers, obviously. So, at the end of the book, here's how it ends. Now, guys, it's been a long time since I've read it, so here's how it ends. So, the birds, or yeah, Cinderella's birds, or her pet birds, they're not her pet birds, but, but a pair of birds at the end of the book. And because the stepsisters are invited, the stepsisters and the stepmom are invited to the wedding of Cinderella and the prince. So, dang it, I hate my brain is going 90 to nothing right now. So the stepsisters and the stepmom are invited to the wedding of Cinderella and the prince. At the wedding, a pair of birds pluck out the stepsister's eyes. That's brutal. That is brutal. A pair of birds pluck out the evil stepsister's eyes. That's brutal. That's, oh god, that's disturbing. But it gets worse. It gets worse. The fairy godmother, I believe the fairy godmother has the stepmother, Cinderella's stepmother, dance in a pair of iron-hot heels until she burns to death dancing. Like, that's brutal, man. Imagine like you're dancing on like lava, or you're dancing on hot rocks. Like, that's brutal, dude. Dancing to death. You were... Oh yeah, I'd say so. Like, Cinderella is such a messed up story, guys. Oh my god. Cinderella, oh, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm. And guys, and the collection I'm talking about right now, guys, the collection I'm talking about at this moment, it was written by Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, aka the Grimm brothers, or the Brothers Grimm. Now, note here, guys, quick note. The Grimm brothers did not come up here with these fairy tales. These fairy tales were passed down from generation to from generation to generation. Y'all ever heard of the telephone game? Y'all ever heard of the telephone game? Basically, the telephone game is this. I tell you a story, and then you tell a person that same story, and then that person tells another person the exact same story. Hey, but over time, hey, the details of said story can get muddled and changed. That's the telephone game. Yup. Sounds about right. But 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 yeah, guys, these stories were told by word of mouth through generations and generations. Hey, with details they got lost and mixed up in time and all that. Hey, the details over time got lost in translation. So, like I said, the Grimm brothers did not create their fairy tales like Hans Christian Andersen did. You see, Hans Christian Andersen wrote his fairy tales and imagined them. It's like me creating The White Knight or Ogre's 8 or any of my stories. No, the Grimm brothers collected their stories, they did not create them. Hans Christian Andersen did create his stories, he made them up. Hans Christian Andersen made up his stories, the Grimm brothers did not. Now, I could be wrong about that as well. I'm pretty sure some form, I don't know, man. I don't know if Hans Christian Andersen made his up or not. I'm guessing he did though, because from sources, guys, I've heard he did. I heard he did. I heard he did. I I heard he did. He created fairy tales. I could be wrong about that though. Now I know the Grimm brothers did not create theirs. They collected theirs because the Grimm brothers fairy tales were originally called old wives' tales. Like I said, mothers who would tell their children these stories to scare them straight, to make them behave themselves, which is fairly messed up. It is very, very, very messed up. And Jesus Christ, guys, we've been going for 40 plus minutes already. Oh, that's funny, dude. That is fantastic. And I've actually stayed on topic. Imagine that. Your boy actually stayed on topic, or at least tried to. Through this stuttering mess of rambling words, I actually stayed on topic. That's good here for you, buddy. Gotta pat myself on the back here for that one. But yeah, guys. I was talking all right fairy tales. Oh yes. Oh yes. But that's not actually true. I mean, in some cases, yes, they did get darker and darker and darker and darker and more scary and more violent and more disturbing. But usually it was the exact opposite. Usually these stories got lighter and less scary and more lighthearted. Now, usually these stories got lighter and lighter and lighter and more kid friendly as the years went on. But in some cases, yes, they did get darker and darker and darker. Yes, Disney did sanitize a lot of those stories. In fact, here, it's the same with a lot of mythology though, guys. It's the same with a lot of the mythologies we all love too. It's the same thing here with a lot of the myths and mythology we all love. Like Greek mythology, for example. So Greek mythology it was told by word of mouth and just the Greek myths got lighter and lighter and lighter. Like let's take the Disney let's take this let's take Disney's Hercules for example. Hercules is a phenomenal film. The original Disney film of Hercules is great, but it's nothing compared to the actual. It's nothing compared to the actual Greek myths. Oh yes, oh yes, like the story of Eros and Psyche is that's one of my favorite Greek myths. I love that story. But I'm kind of getting off topic again, guys. Right as I said I was staying on topic, I've kind of strayed off topic. Hey, but there's a reason I brought up the mythology stuff as well. There's a reason I brought up mythology as well as these old school fairy tales. It's because because a lot of the same stuff happens. A lot of these fairy tales get lost in translation. It's the same here with the original mythology. Whether that being Greek, Norse, Egyptian, doesn't matter. Everything got lost in time. Everything got lost in translation up until the point we actually started writing it down. Up until the point where we actually started writing stuff down, guys, all this stuff I'm talking about, it was told by by word of mouth. Hey, but all this stuff I'm talking about, guys, up until the point where we could actually write this stuff down, all this stuff before then, it was told by word of mouth, guys. And it's fascinating too. Anyways, guys, back to the fairy tales. A lot of these fairy tales were so good, but a lot of them were messed up. Like here, I'll give you a perfect example, if I haven't already, of which I hope I have. I hope I've explained it good enough if y'all don't understand it. I hope I've communicated and articulated these fairy tales in a way that you can understand. But if I haven't, that's okay, because like I said, there's a channel I want y'all to go watch. There's a channel I want y'all to go watch if I have failed in my mission to describe my love for these fairy tales and what they actually, and what is actually in these, and what's actually in said fairy tales and all that. If I have utterly failed you guys, if I have failed miserably, that's okay. Because there's a channel here that y'all can go check out called John Solo. Just look up Messed Up Origins. Just look up Messed Up Origins on YouTube and it'll pop right up. Either way though. Either way, let's get back to the fairy tales. So the very first, and I remember this, guys, because guys, I have two fairy tale collections in my closet. I have the Brothers Grimm collection. I have the Grimm brothers in my closet. I have their fairy tale collection, and I have Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales as well. But I remember the very first. I first opened that book. I got it. I believe I got the Grimm Brothers either a year ago or 2 years ago for Christmas. Yeah, I believe it was 2021 Christmas. I got the Grimm Brothers a collection of fairy tales, and the very first fairy tale I got, and the very first fairy tale in that book, I got the Grimm Brothers a collection in 2021. The very first fairy tale in that book, I opened that book up, and the first fairy tale inside of it is the Frog King, slash Iron Henry, aka Princess and the Frog, aka Princess and the Frog. So yeah, The Princess and the Frog is another Disney film that was made in 2010. And it is a very messed up story as well. Hey, the Princess and the Frog, aka the Frog Prince, or no, aka the Frog King, or Iron Henry. The Princess and the Frog is a very messed up story. The Frog King, or Iron Henry, is a very messed up story, and it follows the same beats as the film does, I think. Oh, dude, leave, because I'm about to ruin that film for you, dog. Because the original story, the Frog King slash Iron Henry, is so messed up. Like, okay, it follows the same beats, right? It follows the same beats. A a uh, a prince, he gets turned into a frog and all that, but the ending is not so. Or guys, here, I just recalled the beginning of the story. So the princess is at the house, and she's playing with a little ball, and she bounces the ball, and she's playing with it, and she bounces it into a pond, onto a leaf or something like that. Or maybe, no, she bounces it into a well, into like a well that you get water from. She bounces it into one of those, and a random frog just so happens by, and the frog gets the ball. And this ball is the princess's most prized possession. So the so the frog just asks if for one thing in return. If I get this ball for you, I need you to do one thing for me. A simple kiss. Of which the princess is like, sure, yes, whatever, just get my ball for me. He does. He comes back that night expecting and wanting and needing that kiss, but it doesn't happen. But so the frog knocks on the door. Somehow, someway, he knocks on the door, and she opens it and is disgusted, obviously. And her father wants to know what's going on. She explains the situation. He takes the frog's side. He takes the frog's side in this argument. He's like, no, you should obey and you should keep your end of the deal. You should keep your end of the deal. Always keep your word. Of which she is appalled and disgusted that her father would even suggest such a thing. And she does. She does keep her word, and the frog stays for dinner, and he eats off of her plate and all that, and it's super just weird and gross and all that. But it's okay. It's okay. So, the frog actually spends the night. And he sleeps in her bed, but not with her. He sleeps in her bed. But the frog can't sleep. And I might be getting some of the detail, and I might be getting some of the details wrong here, guys. I might be getting some of the details wrong here. Like I said, just go watch Messed Up Origins. Just go watch John Solo if y'all want the actual story or the full story here without me stuttering and all that. But either way, so the frog sleeps in her bed, and he wants that kiss, and he's going to get it, although she can't bring herself to do it. And then he finally tells her, "Look, I'm a prince. I'm not a frog. I am a prince." And she's like, "Cool," but she doesn't kiss him. She doesn't kiss him. What she does instead, she's so disgusted. Or no, he doesn't. Why am I so confused right now? God, I hate myself. He doesn't tell her he's a prince. She gets so disgusted that she picks the frog up and throws it across the wall. And she does this multiple times, guys. She picks up this frog and throws it at the wall. Imagine you like picking up, I don't know, like a spider, right? Imagine you just pick up a spider here with a tissue and just throw it against the wall or something like that. I know it's a bad analogy. I'm sorry. I know. I'm sorry it's a bad analogy. But yeah. Like, okay. So yeah, she picks up the frog and she keeps throwing it against the wall harder and harder and harder, and she's disgusted by this frog and she kills it. It's only when it's bleeding to death. It's only when the frog is bleeding to death and it's dead that it finally turns back into to the prince. The frog turns back into the prince after it's dead. After she killed it. After she mercilessly killed the frog by throwing it against the wall so many times. It's dead. Hey, but it's a prince. And she cries and cries and cries and is saddened. Story over. Anyways, guys, yeah, that's the Frog Prince for you guys. That is the Frog Prince, or that's the Princess and the Frog for you guys. Done. Now, I know I did a horrible job. I did a horrible job explaining it. Like I said, if y'all want to know more, then go look up John Solo, or just go watch Messed Up Origins. In fact, guys, I implore you, leave the stream right now. Leave this stream and go watch Messed Up Origins. It's phenomenal. John does a phenomenal job at describing these fairy tales. And if y'all thought, hey, what I told y'all it was bad, he goes into more detail because he actually knows a whole lot more than I do. But yeah, man, like it's so good. I love these messed up stories. It is just so much fun. I have a lot of fun doing this, guys, and all that. But yeah, guys, I think I'm not done because we haven't hit the hour mark. I think I've covered all the stuff what I wanted to cover as far as the fairy tale stuff goes, and as far as the Grimm brothers and all that goes. I think I've covered all that. Now just let me get through a bit of the promotional stuff, right? So guys, I am a storyteller, I'm a writer, I love anime and manga and comic books and all that. So yeah. If y'all don't know, I'm working on, and I've been working on these stories for a long time, guys. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, hey, then just go watch the prior streams. Hey, then just go watch the previous streams I've done. But I'm still working on the White Knight, on Ogre's 8, on the Dragon King, and the broader world of Avaloria, and I'm still working on the Samurai and Gunslinger. I'm still working on Gunblade, of which I will not stop, guys. I love writing too much to stop. And guys, I'm doing this in a manga-based format. So, the White Knight and Ogre's 8, they will be coming next year. I'm hoping the White Knight comes in May, and Ogre's 8 comes out in October. At least that's what I'm hoping. Now, both of those stories, they will be one chapter, 20 pages, 4 to 6 panels per page. And that's fine. That's well and good. Also, guys, if you want to know more about the Dragon King and the broader world of Avaloria, there are seven songs of Avaloria up on the channel right now. If you want to go check them out, please do. Anyways, guys, I think I'm done. So, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, turn on post notifications, turn on all post notifications so that we never miss a video. And with that, guys, I don't know. Just make sure to like, share, and subscribe, turn on post notifications, turn on all post notifications so that we never miss a video or a stream. Y'all get these every night. From 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. And with that, guys, and with that being said, guys, I am. Wait, why am I doing it that way? Here, when I can just do it this way. And with that, guys, I am outie. I love you guys, and thank you, guys.